this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Let me share with you a couple reasons why you are among the most fortunate of people on the entire damn planet because you came across crypto when you did. I know some of you may be newer to it, maybe just within the last 6 to 12 months, but I know since the masses of retailers, the new ones, haven't come in yet, most of you have been here for at least a few years. Congratulations. The degree to which this can be life-changing for so many people. It's hard to overstate, and I do think that most people are going to bungle it because we're all humans and people react emotionally. We are our own worst enemy when it comes to investing, quite frankly. But I want to highlight the opportunity here. Have you heard Raoul Pal talk about what he calls the banana zone? It's just a fun way of describing when things get euphoric in markets. But the way that he sees, and I want to share his perspective. I always appreciate what he has to say. He's a smart guy. I mean, he's been in finance for a career for decades. I mean, he's a former Goldman Sachs executive. He's like pretty much all in crypto right now, and he is pro XRP. And a couple years back, he's even predicting that XRP would go to well over $10. Obviously, with the SEC stuff, and when market cycles happen, it's a question as to when we're finally going to see expansion in the market. But definitely pro crypto. Big time, including XRP. And he's expecting a lot of money to be flowing in. And so I've been sharing for a long time when it comes to what is the catalyst for setting off a crypto bull market. The narrative in crypto historically has been it's the Bitcoin halving. And that's garbage. So there is correlation, but correlation doesn't necessarily mean causation. There's also correlation with the United States presidential elections. November every 4 years. Does that mean that the presidential election is causing Bitcoin to go in these roughly 4-year cycles? Well, of course not. That's silly. So what is it? Well, it's global liquidity. And Raoul Pal's highlighting that the state of things as it pertains to global liquidity, expecting a massive increase very soon, as in this calendar year. And so it always lines up. These things truly are cyclical, but it really does come down to that. And if you can understand that concept, that what triggers this and what triggers this, and this is the reason too that the stock market goes at the same time crypto does, the risk on assets, if money flows in, broadly speaking, like that's it. It really is. Like if you can just wrap your head around that simple concept, you are light years ahead of the pack, my friends. So there's an analyst out there that says XRP is going to be hitting the banana zone, which is a phrase that comes from Raoul Pal, and I'll highlight exactly what he's talking about. And as far as I'm concerned, although nobody knows for sure what's going to happen with XRP price action or anyone or any individual coin for sure, my answer to that is yes. I suspect that it's highly accurate and things are going to go absolutely bananas. And so at the time I'm recording this, by the way, what time is it? 3:58 p.m. Central Time, Monday, July 1st, 2024. So we're now over halfway through the year. Can you believe it? So XRP. To get 47.7 cents, Bitcoin at $63,279. So as I was reporting on last night, we have seen some impulses to the upside. Crypto Fear and Greed Index at 53 out of 100, so market's feeling kind of neutral right now. But at some unknown point in the future, even if we do see a dip first, and I'm not predicting that, but even if we do, at some point in the future, we're going to be back into greed and extreme greed. And I suspect sooner than later, at some point this year, I would just for a fun guess. And so here's chart analyst Credible Crypto sharing his perspective as far as what's been happening with Bitcoin. He said some very clear absorption occurred on low time frames from our local bottom at $60,000. Around $100 million spot market sells absorbed here at the low. So folks, that means lots of demand at that level. And I'm going to highlight another analyst that was targeting roughly that same range, saying tons of support here. So I'll highlight that in just a second here. But lots of absorption. So he says this absorption forced price higher right into key resistance zone at $63,000 to $64,000. And so that is what we've seen. And as I highlighted in a video just last night, you can see that there are some, you can call them little impulses here. Like there's one right here. This is yesterday. So that one would have been in the early hours of June 30th. And then you get another one, and then a little bit later, another one. And then we kind of moving sideways since then. But I am seeing a number of analysts noting that it's possible that we could see another notable impulse even from here. Not that it's guaranteed. Incredible Crypto is kind of articulating something in line with that as well. And he wrote, Key to watch now is if this absorption will continue here as we are pressed against resistance, or if it was done to hunt some liquidity to the upside into supply. Then there's this post from chart analyst Ali Martinez, and he said Bitcoin shows stiff support at $61,100, while the most important resistance areas for Bitcoin are $64,000 and $66,000. Now, that is strikingly similar, not exactly the same, but very similar to what Credible Crypto said. So major supports, $61,000, and Credible Crypto noted that around that level, $100 million spot market sales absorbed there. So that's something. As far as resistance, Credible Crypto has been highlighting that range close to $64,000. And Ali Martinez is saying something very similar. He's saying $64,000 and fine, also $66,000 roughly. But I'm just noting that I've just seen multiple analysts saying about the same thing, and in terms of key levels here. And here's a Crypto Insight UK. He said, step one complete as Bitcoin finds the weekly close within the range I have been discussing. Tons of liquidity all around. I would like us to see a close above the white box before we can start confirming bullish price action. In the white box, it's close to the 64,000 level, maybe a little bit higher than that. So I'm just seeing a lot of key levels pretty similar from various chart analysts here. And once we do break to the upside, as soon as Bitcoin does, expect floodgates to open. Altcoins are going to follow. We just need to see this happen first. And there's reason to believe that it is going to be coming, again, sooner than later. There's also this post from Crypto Insight UK. He wrote, "We are here, total." And so when he writes total, of course, he's referencing the crypto total market cap. So it's all the coins. So what are we at even at right now? 2.34 trillion at the time that I'm recording this. And he's just noting, we are here, for those of you looking at the screen. And he's noting this is the point in the cycle where we were, or where we are now, compared to where we were the last two cycles. And all sorts of analysts show charts like this very similarly to help people get a grasp of the cyclical nature of what's going on. I always find it helpful. It's useful. And you can see, you don't have to be a chart guy, and I'm not. You don't have to be a chart guy to see. You have eyeballs, don't you? You got at least one? Look, it's on your screen. And this is just one more example from another chart analyst, but it is the case. And so here's chart analyst Mikey Bull Crypto, and this is the others chart, which is all of the cryptos excluding the top 10 coins by market cap. And he wrote, altcoins, get ready for the incoming explosive alt season. Yeah, I'm ready. And so my largest individual crypto holding, as you well know, if you've been following me for a while, is XRP, and it's my largest individual holding by a lot. So that's where I'm expecting to get the largest part of my gains from an individual coin. But I'm actually, because I hold about 42 different I hold exactly 42 different cryptocurrencies. I'm actually expecting to get most of my gains in crypto this cycle from collectively all of the coins that are outside of the top 10. But there's more of them. So the individual position's much smaller. But would I rather just have XRP or just have everything else that I hold? Well, if I had to pick, even though XRP is my favorite coin, I'd pick everything else because you get broader exposure. And I got, in terms of what the rest of my coins are worth, collectively it's worth more than my XRP. Yeah, by a lot. But my largest individual holding by a lot is XRP. And so anyway, I'm just noting here the cyclical nature of things. Look back to 2017, and then you get to 2021 bull run. You can see we are at that moment, whether it's today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next quarter, whatever it ends up being. If history is to kind of rhyme with itself, we're going to see a major impulse sooner than later. And I will tell you this, Raoul Pal certainly thinks that this is going to happen. So again, former Goldman Sachs exec is a founder of Real Vision, pro XRP. And here's the headline from the Daily Hodl. Massive amounts of liquidity set to flood global financial markets, according to Real Vision CEO Raoul Pal. And we'll talk about this in conjunction with XRP in just a minute, but I want to make sure everybody is aware of his perspective here, which is interesting, because I like to share diverse viewpoints here. And I certainly absolutely buy into the narrative that what causes expansion is just increased liquidity on a global level. Now, he breaks it down as to the things that will be causing that in an increasing fashion in the short term. And so I'm not saying that I do or don't agree with all this. I just want to share his perspective, and I'm welcome. I certainly welcome feedback in the comment section below here. But this is what you need to see. To see expansion, there needs to be more money floating around. And there's a reason that you do see, again, like I said at the outset of the video, there's a reason that equities markets and crypto markets They expand at basically the same time. You zoom out on a chart, it looks the same. If you zoom in enough, maybe you could see something off by a day, a week, whatever it ends up being. You know what I'm saying. So anyway, the piece reads as follows. Macro guru Raoul Pal says that a new wave of liquidity is set to arrive to financial markets, changing the climate for risk assets. In a new video update with Real Vision analyst Julian Biddle, Powell forecasts that a number of different catalysts will boost global liquidity, which he thinks is the main driver of risk assets like crypto. And here's the quote from him. We think that the Treasury runs down the Treasury general account. We think the Fed stops quantitative tightening. We think that the end of the reverse repo gets drained. We think that Fannie Mae probably gets congressional approval to offer equity release mortgages, which could add trillions of dollars. We think there's either tax stimulus or fiscal spending stimulus to come. We also think that globally, the Japanese might intervene in their currency, selling dollars, which adds dollars into the global system. We also think that most countries will be adding liquidity as well. We think China needs to increase its liquidity. It's end quote. So take it for what it's worth. But if directionally that's where we're going, and based on historic precedent and the cyclical nature of things, and when liquidity increases historically, whatever you want to say the individual reasons are, that's up for debate and discussion. That's fun. That's fine. But this should be the time that it happens anyway. This, and that's why I said, a little bit earlier in the video, if you can wrap your head around this, you are light years ahead of the pack. This is why it doesn't make sense to worry about price. This is a big reason that I sleep easy. Because the truth is, even if we get a black swan event and everything goes to hell and we go straight into a bear market, which I don't think is probable at all, although I guess for most things in life, never say never, but even if that happened, markets do come back. Liquidity does come back. To think that liquidity won't come back, that would be like saying, if that doesn't happen, liquidity never comes back. That's the end of civilization, basically. You're talking about economies collapsing. That's silly. It doesn't make sense. Crypto is just going to get bigger as time passes. So all that to say, the reason I sleep easy is because even if I have to wait a few more years for a market to come back raging in bull mode, okay, I'm living my life. I'm happy. Everything's good. There's a reason. There's so many reasons to not freak out, but that's one of them. That's a big one here. And so then there's also this article, and this is titled, Raoul Pal predicts crypto to enter banana zone soon and $100 trillion market cap within 10 years. So again, I'll apply this to XRP. I'm going to show you what that chart analyst said in just a second here. But I want you to understand the big picture, the amount of money that's going to flow in. My God, that's why Raoul Pal has this saying, and it's kind of crude, but I still like it. I'll censor it here, but it's don't F it up, don't F this up. And there's truth to that. And the stuff that he talks about implementing to not F up your opportunity in crypto is stuff that I was already doing in my own life. Like, I'm very strict about the way I invest. Like, when I buy something, I don't touch it. That's it. For years and years and years and years on end. And that's been working for me. Before I jumped into crypto, it's what I was already doing, investing for retirement in equities markets. So I thought, this is, same human DNA. It probably works here. And it does. You just have broad exposure to the crypto asset class, and you go. Now, I still think most coins will ultimately go to zero, but I'm watching for that. So, I'd say there's greater risk in crypto, and you need to be a little bit more in tune in terms of just in case there's some sort of a quick shift, this or that, and you actually do see a flushing out. But right now, we're just seeing that there's more and more coins being created, actually, at least to this point. But all that to say, still, when I started this channel over half a decade ago, I was like, at some point, we're going to see $1 trillion market cap, because we hadn't at that point. And then I said, we're going to see a multi-trillion-dollar market cap, and we hadn't seen that at that point. And then I said it'll be tens of $1 trillion and over $100 trillion probably. And Raoul Pal is thinking the same way. And so if you understand how little money is in crypto compared to those levels, that's why I keep saying, if you just don't F it up, if you just buy stuff, and if you can just control your emotions and just have a sufficient timeline, when the market goes, it goes. And then, my God, that's when the life-changing wealth comes. You just don't get to choose when it happens. But if you're talking about, roughly a $2.3 trillion market cap and this going to $100 trillion within the next 10 years, which is roughly what he's talking here. I think that's what it said in the article. Can you imagine? This is what's so empowering about crypto. To all of you listening, it applies to me, it applies to you. The opportunity is there. It's there for us to take or squander, but it's truly there. And I think most people are going to screw it up because they don't have sufficient time horizons. The emotions get in the way. They go FOMO in. They panic sell. So I think for most people, they're not going to get that life-changing wealth. But it doesn't mean the opportunity isn't there. Absolutely it is. For you, this is a real thing. And it's the first time in the history of our species there's been anything like this to this degree. This is a first for an asset class to do this. So anyway, this piece reads as follows. In a recent podcast titled The Big Picture, Powell argues that the ongoing debasement of currencies by central banks, coupled with the rapid adoption of crypto technology, has created a unique investment opportunity. This could generate unprecedented returns. He predicts crypto is going from $2.7 trillion, where we are today, to, let's say, $12 trillion by the end of this cycle, and onto a $100 trillion within 10 years. And that's a quote from him, by the way. It emphasizes the potential for massive wealth accumulation in the shortest period in recorded history. So, friends, I've been saying that on this channel literally the whole time I've been running this channel. It's not just me. I'm not just some crazy dude on the internet. I am just a dude on the internet. But I'm just saying, I'm not the only one that has recognized this. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to get this stuff. This opportunity has never existed in the history of our species. But here we are. And as far as hitting $12 trillion by the end of this cycle, I don't make predictions like that because I'm not a chart guy. That would be a little outside of my wheelhouse. But I will acknowledge that doesn't sound crazy. In fact, Brad Garlinghouse, you may recall recently, he predicted that we're going to hit at least a $5 trillion market cap by the end of this year. And then he was questioned about that on national television. It was on Fox Business about a week after he had said that. He's like, do you really think that a crypto asset class is going to go to $5 trillion? And then Brad more than doubled down. He said, honestly, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, but he's like, honestly, I think I may not have predicted a big enough number. And so I see from a lot of analysts much higher figures than this for this market cycle, whether it's 9 trillion, 10 trillion. Here, you're talking 12 trillion by the end of the cycle, Rob Paul saying. So we'll see what happens here. But as far as the banana zone, here's a quote from him. Very soon, like in the next month and a half, we will start to hit the banana zone. Paul refers to the explosive growth potential during this phase. He says, when the zone hits, things will get wild. And so it's just a fun way of basically talking about expansion in crypto markets. That's all it is. It's just a fun way of articulating that. And so take a look at this chart. There's analyst Levi Crypto Crusader shared the following with his 109,800 followers. And he wrote, HBAR and XRP, we're about to enter the banana zone. Who's ready? Now, what he's showing on your screen here is Bitcoin price action. And so, if you look at the price action of Bitcoin over its entire history on a linear chart, then when you see the previous cycles, like, you can't even really make them out. They look gigantic at the time, like mountains if you're zoomed in on them. But then if you zoom out to the whole roughly 15-year period, you can't see the earlier cycles because they're dwarfed by the more recent action. And then if you use a logarithmic chart, it doesn't really sufficiently paint a picture. I would say, I know it tries to even stuff out, but it doesn't do the same thing as what is done on here on this screen. So basically what they have is the chart, and I'm assuming that this is, these have got to be just linear, just by, if you can see the banana like this, but it's 4 cycles, including the one on the right, which is where we're at now, before the banana zone part starts. And so I think that it's useful to look at it in such terms. So you can see the 2011, 2012. Visually, it looked about the same. Then 2014 through 2016, you can see exactly what he's talking about there, taking off. And again, this is just Bitcoin, but what follows with altcoins. That's why this matters. 2019 and 2020 leading into that seat. Going into 2021, obviously. And then here you have where we are now, into 2024. It's basically the same thing. Now, I'm not saying that I buy into the idea of Bitcoin hitting $300,000 this cycle, though I certainly am not going to rule it out. It's not insane to say that. It's just at the upper bound. It's like you say a number like $1 higher than I'm just like, you watch your damn mind. That's the breaking point for moon level. 300,000, okay. 300,000 and $1, you watch your damn mind. It's like, but I'm just saying, like, with each increasing dollar, yeah, I'm a little more like, you sure about that? But it could happen. But most analysts that I follow seem to think it's more probable to hit more like $150,000, something like that. But whatever happens, all that to say, history is more or less kind of repeating with itself. And so if this happens, if you think XRP isn't going along for the ride, you out your damn mind, so far as I'm concerned. It's going to come. It's expansion, folks, which is why I'll say it for like probably at least the third time this video. If you can wrap your head around this, then you are ahead of the pack. Because when it comes to liquidity increasing on a global scale, that's when money gets thrown at everything. That's what happens. And to think that it'll get thrown at everything in the crypto asset class but not XRP, that's a defeatist attitude, and you don't know what you're talking about. That's not real life. Of course XRP is going to go. And it's been consolidating for so long, I will not be surprised to see a massive blow-off. Nobody knows for sure, but why is that not the most reasonable supposition? I mean, you guys tell me, because I think that makes a ton of sense. Then there was also, oh yeah, so I wanted to mention this too, just real briefly, because I know that a lot of people that hold XRP hold HBAR, including me. HBAR is one of my largest individual positions for tons of reasons. It's actually useful, and so the people that are interested in XRP, not surprising to see that they're interested in HBAR, because it is one of the few out there that very obviously is offering real world utility, and there's tons of developer activity, which is an important metric to track. And Sentiment is actually highlighting that. So check this. I just thought it was cool, so I thought I'd briefly mention this. All right, here are crypto's top coins by development frequency. Hedera remains at the top spot, with Chainlink sliding into the number 2 position. And I also hold Chainlink. I've been holding Chainlink since the end of 2017 when it cost like a quarter or something like that. Then it went to $50, and it's, what is that now? I don't check it that frequently. Like 16, is it around $16? I don't know. Yeah, look at a damn chart. I don't know. But I hold, see, all that time, I just hold stuff. I just do. Because like, that's, to me, the best way to not F it up is for me to not do anything. Because the asset class is going to keep growing, whether I'm in it or not. So I just decided I'm going to be in it, but I'm just going to let it do its thing. It's a hands-off approach, which is not what most people do. Most people have a hard time taking a hands-off approach. It's harder for most people than it would sound on the surface. But I do it. And it does work, and I'm going to continue to do absolutely nothing after I buy stuff until I'm enticed sufficiently to sell. That's it. Then there's this post from chart analyst E. Greg Crypto. He said XRP from here to here, minimum target $6.40. With all the saga in the last couple of weeks, the monthly time frame candle formation is closing above Fib 0.236. This is simply a natural consolidation. Next target, Fib 0.5. Flip it with conviction, and then we fly to Fib 1.618, which is $6.40. XRP Army, stay steady. Our time will come, and it will be as bright as Sirius, which is the brightest star in the night sky, he goes on to note. So I will not be surprised in the least to see this. When the market expands, XRP is going along for the ride. When you saw expansion in the market, in 2021, XRP went along for the ride then, despite having a massive blow-off top just a few years prior. Number one performing coin in the 2017-2018 bull cycle. Number one out of, at that point, close to 2,000 coins, I think there were. And despite the SEC lawsuit, it still went along for the ride. Yeah, it didn't hit a new all-time high. But to think that XRP isn't going to this time, whew, respectfully disagree in terms of what is probable, right? So get ready for the banana zone. I like it. It's a fun way to say it, to describe the expansion in the market. My guess is that we're going to see that. I don't have 100% conviction on that, or even with anything I say about XRP, but that's because in life I tend to not speak in absolutes. But if you want to ask what I suppose is most likely by a lot, XRP new all-time high, because there will be expansion in the market. So let's find out together, but I'm ready for it, and I think it's going to happen sooner than later. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.